Hey everybody, welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm Michael Noland, and all I've got to say tonight is if you are faint of heart or prone to fainting for that matter, you might want to grab on to someone you hold dear, or at least take a seat, because guess what, folks? Motley Crue has released new music. All right, so my longtime viewers know that I'm not a major fan of Mötley Crüe, and I've criticized them quite a bit over the last couple of years on this very channel. But I've also admitted that when they first came out, they made some pretty good records, and there were a couple of recordings by them that I actually liked. I didn't buy their music, but if I heard them on the radio, I didn't turn them off either. Their brand of let's party all night long rock and roll didn't sit well with me right from the very beginning. I always preferred artists that would make you think. These guys never once got me to thinking, but they were a very competent band. Now, one of the focuses of my channel here is to identify anything that's going on in the rock world now that is tearing the art of classic rock apart. Not only am I against high ticket prices, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I've got a video coming up on that. I know some of you have been waiting for that video. I'm against, for the most part, using backing tracks and especially lip syncing Don Henley, and of course, endless touring that doesn't allow artists enough time to write new material. I've often criticized Mötley Crüe for several of those things I just mentioned. And I've also stated many times that just as people go, the members of this band, especially the three remaining members of this band, are nothing more than white trailer trash rock and rollers. Nikki Sixx's big mouth, disloyalty, and lies sicken me. Tommy Lee's shenanigans on stage should be illegal. And as far as I'm concerned, Vince Neil probably should be rotting in prison right now. And my early Mötley Crüe videos pretty much was critical of the entire band, including Mick Mars. Of course, Mick has his degenerative AS condition, which forced him to stop touring, and what he wanted to do is just be available to the band in the studio. He wasn't against them getting a replacement guitarist for him for their tours, but not being anywhere near stand-up kind of guys, they tried to backstab him at a shareholders meeting and tried to decrease his 25% share in the band to a mere 5%. Of course, that was the beginning of me becoming a Mick Mars fan. You see, I started covering the story, didn't I? And I found out that as a man, this guy's got some balls behind him, and even a moral code. I was starting to like this guy. But then, despite me criticizing him and the rest of Mötley Crüe for not giving us any new music and supplying us with nothing but overpriced, endless touring, he gave us a long-promised album, The Other Side of Mars. I have reviewed a couple of cuts on that album, and I've even stated that I really like that album. I think it's a solid A album. I don't think it's a classic rock masterpiece, but by today's standards, a very strong offering on his part. This did not improve my disposition toward the band Mötley Crüe when one of their former members, who could very easily justify retiring to a care home was actually much busier than they were artistically. But during all those months, we would hear from mainly Nikki Sixx, which I don't believe a damn thing out of that man's mouth. You know, he's been caught playing to backing tracks and he denies it. You know, so when he was telling us that him and Mick's replacement member, John 5, were busy writing like you've never seen this band write before, I thought he was just blowing smoke up our skirts. When Tommy Lee last December said that they had been in the studio and had recorded 3 tracks, I didn't believe him either. But lo and behold, even liars can occasionally tell the truth. Because just last midnight, Mötley Crüe released a brand new video and song called Dogs of War. The track starts off with a very heavy and ominous guitar riff that is also quite a hook, which is good because there's a lot of staggering to these guitar lines, and them being memorable helps you get into the groove right away. Kudos to Nikki Sixx's bass lines here. He climbs when you think he would go down, and he goes down when you think he would climb. All within the first few seconds, you feel the groove on this. Of course, Vince Neil introduces the song by almost shout whispering, by the way, the word bastards 4 times. Now, if you compare Vince's vocal work here on this track to his very early work with Mötley Crüe, you notice one thing immediately. He is singing definitely in a lower range, but the melody is solid and his vocals sound great. My biggest criticism of the song is there's basically 2 motifs. They go into motif 1, motif 2, back to motif 1. Now, getting Bob Rock in on these sessions was quite a feather in the cap for Mötley Crüe. Bob Rock has pulled off more than 1 or 2 miracles in his career, and for this song anyway, he does it yet again. And he keeps it pretty much short and to the point. This track is designed to show up and be played in rotation on modern rock stations these days. Hell, I even hear some Def Leppard influences on this song. Now, Vince Neil has stated that he sees this new song as old school, what they used to do meets new school, and I'd have to agree with him, proving that even Vince Neil can occasionally have something intelligent to say. And of course, the band is stating that coming later in the year, we're going to get a 3-song EP. I don't know, that's an anemic EP at best, but 3 songs from Mötley Crüe? I mean, what the hell is going on here? Now, the band has said that they are planning to re-meet up sometime this time of year, next year, to get into the studio to record an album proper, saying that they have that much material, or at least they've written enough of that much material to get started. Nikki Sixx claiming that the road is not conducive to writing. But as per usual, the band is more interested in making the quick buck rather than to be seen as true rock artists. So how would I rank this cut? I'd rank it as a competent cut, brilliantly mixed, and with Bob Rock guiding them, making decisions on what goes here and there, what needs to be repeated in the right way. I think they have a solid contender. If I hear this song on the radio, I probably won't turn it off for the first 10 or 12 times I hear it. So with that in mind, I'd say this is a relatively solid offering from the band. But will I actually go out and buy it? Especially, will I buy the album if this song is connected to that album that will be coming out next year? Well, no. But then again, I have never bought a Motley Crue album. How do I compare this one track to, say, the best track from Mick Mars? Mick Mars buries this track several times on his album as far as I'm concerned. But I do have to admit that Motley Crue has a solid piece of music here, and certainly a bit of ear candy. All right, folks, that's my video for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. That always helps the YouTube algorithm better identify each video to a wider audience. It winds up in more feeds that way. And if you haven't subscribed to this thing we're doing here, that's pretty damned easy. All you have to do is hit that subscribe to the tribe button and then tap that top bell icon. You always got to do that, especially if you want to be notified of each of my videos as they come out. All right, I'm Michael Noland. This is The Bottom Line. And once again, I always have to say this, don't I? This is the bottom line as I see it in this video. But the real bottom line for this channel is a chat channel as well, because you guys really come to life in the comments, and that's the real bottom line right there, because that's where we all are the tribe.